Thank you so much for joining us and welcome back to the program. You are tuned in to KBC Channel 1. This is the only way to kickstart your day. Good morning, Kenya. It is. My name is Samuel Njoroge. You are right in time for the first item of the day, and we've got to look at, after KCSE, what next? For those that scored, for those that did not score, for those that feel they have, they're not too sure of what life has in store for them. I have a panel of 4, 2 ladies and 2 gentlemen with me in studio to help us delve into this subject. Remember, you can engage us on 20511. That's our SMS line. Begin with the initials GMK. Hit me up on Twitter at Samiwan Njoroge. You can also find me on Facebook. Samuel Njoroge is my user name. With pleasure, allow me to introduce my panel this morning. I will start with my immediate right. Sorry, I'm used to sitting there. My immediate right, I've got Irene Waithaka, who is a teacher in parenting. Welcome to the program.
Thank
and
you.
Also a PhD student at the Management University of Africa. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
And next to Irene, we've got Emmy Wanyama. Emmy Wanyama was here earlier in the year. I believe that was January 6th, 2016.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, that was January 6th. We're discussing state of education. He is back. Of course, he has consulted widely in the area of human capital development as well as education for governments and organizations around the world. He is a former school principal, lecturer, and is a career mentor. Welcome to the program, Emmy.
Thank you.
Straight ahead, I've got a lady. Her name is Joy. Yes, let me get her profile right. Thank you very much. Yes, her name is Joy. Now, Joy Mwangi, formerly at Loreto Convent, Valley Road, admitted to the African Leadership Academy, Johannesburg, South Africa. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Last but not least, we've got Francis Wahome, formerly of the Lenana School, applying to the African Leadership University in Mauritius. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
How are you this morning?
Fine, thank you.
You're well?
Yeah, very well.
Just a quick one from each and every one of you. On anything, everything, say hello to the people.
Good morning, viewers. I'm just happy to be back, and I hope we have a great morning together.
Absolutely. Irene, over to you.
Good morning, Kenya. We are great to be here. We are happy.
Yes.
And we want to discuss a lot about this topic.
Absolutely. Joy, over to you.
Good morning. This is such an honor to be here to talk to you, to discuss about our results and everything. I hope you enjoy.
Francis.
It's a pleasure, a really huge pleasure to be here. It's massive. Love KBC. All the viewers, you tuned into the right station.
Thank you so much. We are tuned into the right station. I would like to start with you, Emmy, just a follow-up from the conversation we had on in January this year. After the release of the exam results, that was Thursday last week, what were the issues that you took up immediately?
Thank you, Sam. I think the primary thing that is becoming of concern now is the credibility of examinations. Because as a rite of passage, you need to be able to say they were credible. You need to say they are worth the certificate. They are worth the certificate they are written on. But increasingly, we are seeing this becoming a problem. And one of the key things when President Buhari took over in Nigeria, he said the first thing that he's going to do is to fight graft.
Right.
Then followed the results of the West African Examinations Council, and he said the next thing after fighting graft is exam malpractices. And Sam, one thing I want to posit this morning is this. In Nigeria, they call them miracle centers, exam miracle centers. And he said, you know what, I'm going to deal with exam miracle centers. It is increasingly looking like when you're in particular institutions, you're banished to failure for life.
Yeah.
Yet in other exam centers, you can even be a cartoon character. So long as you know how to read and write, you will get a straight A.
Yeah.
And these are the concerns that as a parent, as practitioners, and as a country, we must rise up to and face. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to be a laughing stock. And key, for example, now in the UK, if you are having, say, a master's certificate from Nigerian universities,
yes,
you'll be required to sit another master's before you proceed to PhD. There was a time when our driving license was credible. You got to go to Europe and drive. Now they're telling you, you know what, you've got to go back to driving school.
Sure.
So we need to be credible, we need to be real, and we need to have very serious conversations amongst ourselves.
I'd like to cross to you, Joy, and from you I'd like to get a highlight of your life at Loreto. How was it for you?
Loreto was, it was exciting. Loreto has a combination of people from various backgrounds and from different languages and everything. And it was thrilling to meet people, new people. I had been in a school where they were only from a specific place, like around Nairobi. So it was good to see people from even outside Nairobi to study with. So it was, I really appreciated the diversity there.
Great. Over to you, Francis, in terms of what was the most challenging?
I can say the most challenging thing was fun. Too much fun. For some of us, primary and then high school, there's normally a really big transition in between. Let's say, for example, if primary, you're conflicted to just school and books and KCP, and then you get to high school, there's functions, there's clubs, there's going out every Saturday.
Yeah.
Now, that can really waver you from your current path. For example, let's say you have a function and you have an exam all on the same day. So what do you go for? The function, or do you sit down and do the exam?
What did you go for?
Well, I can't say.
Irene, coming to you as a teacher in parenting. There's so many parents out there, they have no idea what step to take after the exam results were released on Thursday. Both extremes, the very good and the very bad. What word do you have for them this morning?
What I would say is that we parents have been affected very much throughout quite a certain period of time in this country. Out of the kind of results we find coming from schools, you find that in some schools you get almost 95% pass mark, maybe students passing with A's, straight A's, and you don't even get a B or a C, and some schools getting E. So we've been wondering whether in our country that brains are skewed to one part of the country or one side, and some schools and not others. And we've been seeing there is a serious problem with the examination. We've been seeing there is a serious problem in the education sector, because when you see that every parent is working very hard to make sure that you take your children to school, the education system, everything that they are going through is a similar curriculum, and we expect them to be taught, and you find this kind of very skewed results, you see there is quite a problem. Because naturally we talk about the normal curve, and when you look at the performance in some schools, it's skewed so much. So as a parent, I feel that there is a problem in our education sector, and we need to look at this kind of performance. And you hear that that students are taught the exam in some schools, and they spend even a period of 6 months being taught the exam, and you wonder, what is this? Isn't it a waste of time? Isn't it a waste of resources? Where is this exam so important that we have our children being taught the exam only just to enter a university? Why can't we have why can't we have a system where a child is able to go through a system and is able to go through learning, and they come out who they are, so that they are placed in the right places? Because you find that all those students with A's will not necessarily be able to perform wherever else they go. Because when they go to university, you find that they are not also able to measure up, because the A may not have been genuinely earned, and the program they are put into may not be the program that they deserved,
right,
or they were trained for, or they are able to grasp. So you find that now the brain gets wasted. They're in the wrong career, they're in the wrong place, And even in the university, they end up now trying to cheat around to pass the university exams, and the whole thing is in a mess.
It becomes a very big mess.
Yeah.
Emmy, you've consulted quite widely on this particular issue. When it comes to our context right here in Kenya, is the problem with the process, or the problem starts with the exam?
I think the whole problem here is that you're coming from the curriculum, and curriculum covers both the content and the delivery.
Yes.
And we might have to look at how do we deliver this particular curriculum. And one way is to look at, how about looking at even continuous assessment. If you look at a kid who has been a high performer from Form 1 to Form 4, currently if he misses, say, chemistry paper 2, all the 4 years before are negated. It's like he never actually came to school. We need to address that. Now, we also as a community or a society need to point out that exam is not the only way to life. There are many ways. It's just one step in life. And what is even more interesting in this particular exam that we've seen, we need to counsel both the parent and the kid. Because the truth is that some of the kids who score high grades don't have the right grade combination to the courses they chose. Number two is that the courses they chose are also limited in terms of number. So because of missing the first choice, they'll end up in something that's not good enough. Now, if we, for example, said 40% is continuous assessment, then reduce the other one to say 60%, we'll stop seeing this hunger for just getting a grade for getting the grade. Now, if you look at, for example, in boarding schools in this country began in the 1920s as a way of producing a holistic child who was well molded, and mostly because they were begun by missionaries, they wanted to see a well-molded, well-rounded Christian, high integrity, high honesty, very diligent in all this. And that's why we saw schools like Holy Ghost Fathers come up, set up schools like Mwangi, the Sisters of Loreto setting up the Loreto schools. We saw Church of God bring up schools like Bunyore. But also, we also want to say that the good that we saw out of this exam is seeing schools like Sheikh Khalifa in Mombasa changing the narrative that, look, we thought that Mombasa schools don't do well. We thought that still Muslim areas don't have well-performing schools. But we saw Professor Rashid Muzee go there, start as a principal, and that wave changed. And today Sheikh Khalifa is doing quite well.
Yes,
but I also want to point out that Sustainable Goal number 4 of the United Nations talks about lifelong learning. And we've seen the good also. Reverend Bitok from Eldoret, I happen to attend that church when I'm there, but it never occurred to me that he's in school scoring a straight A. And that means that you can have, like, he was in the street, he was a street boy. But he brought up another factor, the issue of mentorship, just like we have mentorship today. And that has actually helped in the sense that that we are seeing people that are not in the formal system going to school, concentrating and coming through. So that's one good thing.
That's one good thing. Joy, I'd like to come to you in terms of, yes, you've gone through the system, you've performed very well, congratulations.
Thank you.
But one would be curious to know, when you were at Loreto or even before, what kind of co-curricular activities were you into?
I mostly participated in clubs. I did Model United Nations. At some point I was a vice chair lady of the environmental club. Math and science. And also St. John Ambulance I was a sergeant in those clubs. But before high school I took part in sports. So my aim was to be an all-rounded person, where I can say that I have taken part in the sports and I've done clubs, leadership positions. It's good to be all-rounded in that sense.
Do you feel that has helped you become the person that you are today?
Definitely.
How so?
Sports, if I may talk about sports teaches you a lot about discipline and teamwork and leadership. You have to be in sync with your teammates to be able to score, to be able to plan ahead, to be able to tackle the other team coming against you. It also teaches you how to be brave in certain situations.
Right.
And Model United Nations, it goes without speaking. You have to public speak in front of people you've never met before. St. John, you learn basic first aid, which I think is a requirement for every single person, no matter where you are in life. So all these things are, if I may say, what academics may not be able to put into your life. Right. They help bring out a different side of you that books doesn't necessarily bring out.
I love that point. It helps you bring out a certain part of you that books may not necessarily bring out. Francis, you're done with the Lenana school. What does Francis want to do?
Honestly, I have a wide range of options. You know, unfortunately, people think that, let's say you didn't get that A you wanted, so that means you're done. Your life is done. In some cases, in extreme cases, your own parents tell you, now what do we do with you? So, personally, I would like to go to the African Leadership University in Mauritius. That's just the first step. In real sense, I was aiming for the University of Pennsylvania in the US. I've also want to do financial it's so amazing of the wide range of choices I have. So I'm not limiting myself actually. So whatever, I'm actually more of the whatever comes, because at the end of the day, even I can do politics. I can even do politics, but
yes,
it will also be for my own knowledge. As all the others have said, they've mentioned the fact of growing as a holistic person. Just because I want to be in the line of business and finance does not mean I cannot grow on other ventures.
Yes.
I mentioned politics, for example. Entertainment, personally, I also do some acting. I'm a singer, I play guitar. It's something I like doing, because as in at the end of the day, people will look at you and say, that's a businessman, and that's the end of you. That's how they'll define you, businessman. But you can be different. People can look at you and say, that's a businessman. He's also an actor and a politician. At the end of the day, by the time you are leaving this earth, you'd have left quite a mark on people's lives.
Yeah.
And education has not limited you to do one part. You can do anything you want.
You can do anything you want, but does the 844 system allow you to do anything you want? Is the importance on co-curricular as emphasized as the curricula? To the both of you, any one of you can answer this.
I'll speak because I was in a private school.
Yes.
What I realized was academics was really highly regarded, which is good because it's very important. But co-curricular activities were not equally regarded as much. I'd remember people considering those ones who are better at co-curricular activities than academics would consider themselves a little not as bright as those ones in academics, who are doing well in academics. So I guess in my private school and in 844 generally, there's this stress on academics. It kind of closes your mind because they don't, it's not, co-curricular activities are not exactly invested in as much. They're not very invested in. Yes, that's what I'd say.
It becomes just that thing we do to make the process complete. Irene, there's something Wahome said, that in extreme situations, parents do ask their students, now, what do we do with you? And I believe that question could have done rounds over the weekend. Now that you have this grade, what do we do with you? What can be a good remedy to that kind of a situation?
Yeah, you find that in our system, we are driven to results. We are driven to the score, the high score. The score is A, and if your child gets much less than that, and that's what takes my baby to the university, then you find that the parent gets a night block, and they do not know what to do. So the remedy is to start by cleaning our system, because we cannot have all our children go abroad. We cannot have all our children go to universities outside Kenya. We need to clean our system so that our children can go to school in Kenya, can go to primary school, high school, and the university in Kenya. Because if we did do our system right, we need not go and fetch any education outside Kenya, because we have everything that it takes as a country to make the system work. And we have people sitting in positions in this country who are capable, and that's why they are placed there, so that they work with the system there is. but most probably they are really not doing their job. Because this country, when you look at the greatest number of young people, they will not get a position in ULA, ALU, those universities in the US, those universities in the UK. And we would want them also to come out as all-rounded young people who are going to take after us and take care of this nation. And they might not have a chance to go outside Kenya when they are young. They may go when they are older. And if they are young like this, they need to know how to build this country, right from when they are young. So we need people who are serious about building this nation, and people who are serious about looking into the education system afresh and seeing what to put in it. The 844 system has its own benefits. The students come out very competitive, very hardworking. They also come out focused, but they miss so much. They miss so much in terms of the other things they could have become in life. It's not just about getting the grade.
Yes.
It's about becoming the person that you are meant to be and having your purpose in life. And therefore, after KCSE, there's a lot that the students can do, but it is very unfortunate that, for instance, if someone wanted to be an engineer, they may not get that position in the university because there are not enough slots to admit a C+, to admit a B-.
Yeah.
There is no university that will admit a student who wants to do that course. Not necessarily that they did not have the brain, but maybe probably they did not, they were not taken through the kind of extra teaching that was required, because our teachers are not able to teach our students sufficient enough for them not to require extra tuition.
Right.
So if the child does not get extra tuition, they're not able to score the A. If the child does not get the exam taught over a period of maybe 5 months, or maybe the student doesn't get the exam over the night before the exam, then they cannot score the A.
Yeah.
And therefore they will not become a doctor. That is a very wrong way to judge our young people, and we are training them very badly. And those in the system, in the country who are doing these things, are doing wrong things, and they are teaching the children the wrong way. And we are training our children to become people who will cheat through their lives. They start at primary level, high school, university, then they bribe to get jobs, then at the workplace they don't produce, they don't work, and we don't know what crop of people we are raising.
Exactly.
So I think it's not just about the score, it's not just about getting that A, it's about ruling and rotting as a country.
As a country.
Yes.
I'd like, Emmy, for you to come in on this one, and I draw your attention to a tweet yesterday at You Report Kenya, which was also taken by The Standard. The UN raises alarm of a poor quality of education right here in Kenya, and a reaction to that at George Odondi, you say, for sure this is the beginning of all the worst. We need to be the Kenya that was. When a body like the UN does this, it will affect the good and the bad, right?
Yeah.
So is George justified, or is George's concern, right in saying that this is the beginning of all the worst?
I would like to say that the UN has got its position. I know the UN reports have been there before, like for teacher absenteeism.
Yes.
But we have one of the strongest education systems. And as a person who works in the region, and I have to interview a lot of the regional candidates, I can always say that I'm always very impressed by the quality of students that we get out of here, both public and private universities. I'm always very proud to interview students for, say, international marketing from USIU, for example, human resources from Catholic University. We have a good product. What we need to do is to be able to protect that integrity and make it even better. Now, when it comes to exam delivery, we talked about the process. And in this country, we find that we've got first world schools and we've got third world schools also. But we also have what I call third world schools in first world places of this country. You have a school in Korogocho, right at the heart of the city, not having the basic facilities that a school right across the road actually is enjoying. Now, my point here is that when you look at some of our children, let's say northeastern Kenya, I noted with a lot of interest that even the leader of the majority could not risk having his son studying Patula High School, which is a national school, and had to bring him to the safety of Mwangi, for example. Now the point is this, that many of our children, especially northeastern Kenya, faced a lot of insecurity. They didn't have enough contact hours with their teachers, lacked basic infrastructure, their parents practiced nomadism, so they don't have that opportunity like the rest of the children. Secondly, apart from insecurity, they had no teachers. Third, the teacher strike took an inordinately part of the year. I mean, they lost quite a big chunk of their time. So in find that the numbers have exploded. And if you look at our universities now, only 1% of the students at university are at PhD level. Yet we require the same PhD students to be able to supervise these other students. So we have a challenge there. But the ministry is not, for example, allocating resources. We used to have lots of scholarships for masters and PhD level. We don't have that anymore. And that, unfortunately, is what we are seeing all the way down. Now, with also this push for education, you have so many kids wanting to go to school, so many in college. He talked about an array of choices that he has, but are the opportunities there? I would say no, they are limited. And so we require a lot of investment, both in terms of infrastructure and both in terms of teachers. And a good example, for example, when the Commission for Higher Education came down hard on colleges, we've seen now universities now advertising, for example, in India, for professors to come in and boost this push. So we are doing something, probably rather slowly, but I'm glad that's being done.
Something is being done.
But I can also point out like this. Private universities have a lot of capacity. Given the support, most of the major universities in the US are not public universities. They have been supported. We can support a university like Baraton has a lot of space. It started with the buyers in the medical sciences. If given the support, we can see a lot in terms of admitting more students and helping them train more people like Rwanda has done.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's get to the caption on the screens for our viewers, and I'll start with you, Francis, and I move to Joy. After KCSE, what next?
Honestly, I advise, personally, I had to sit down first, you absorb the results that you've taken, and you plan yourself from then on. You decide what you want, but first you have to do research. What is there? As Mr. Amy has said, opportunities, look for them. There is no possible way I'm expected to sit down at home and wait for my parents to do everything for me. Why can't I just get up, go research? For example, like ALU, the University of Pennsylvania was my own research, and come and tell them this is what I want to do and this is all I require from you. So I think it's more of getting yourself intact. Start knowing what you want now that that part is gone. The tension was there for that 1 week before the results. Now it's done. So now the question is, after the tension, what do you do next?
Right. What do you do next? Over to you, Joy. What next for you after KCSE?
Well, there are very many things I can think of, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'd like to stress that KCSE is not life and death. So even after you get your marks, like my friend said, you need to open up your mind. Don't just think about the exam is the limiting factor to what you have. Don't just concentrate on the universities. Even in our own country, you can look abroad and see the scholarship opportunities. I've been told that Canada has a lot of scholarship opportunities for Kenyan students. So what I plan to do after KCSE is open my mind and not let opportunities pass me. As you introduced me, I will be attending the African Leadership Academy in South Africa. I will be going on September 3rd. Those are one of the things I worked on in high school. That's why I also stress co-curricular activities, because it was not mainly my academics that got me there. It was what I did, my leadership opportunity, my positions, community service and everything, sports, singing, music. So what next? Go out there and be the change that you want to see in the world.
Great. Go out there, be the change you want to see in the world. Amy, after KCSE, what next for the students? Those who performed, those who did not perform?
I think it's important to realize that there's a book I've been reading, very interesting, that says that why grade A students work for grade C students and why B students work for government. What this simply means is that the fact that you had a bad hair day or you're a slow learner does not mean that is the end of everything. And we are seeing a lot of attention, growth in the arts, for example. I was just looking at statistics and showing that we now have a lot of students from Saudi Arabia, for example, coming to study in our system. And what it means is that the opportunities others are seeing that we are not seeing. Before the end of the year, I know the president has, in the Jubilee Manifesto, he talked about developing the youth. And I know, like, before the end of the year, not very far from here, they'll be launching a film academy and he's provided resources for that. Sure. So we see new opportunities coming up. What we need to do is to be able to diversify. And we have seen universities like Jomo Kenyatta University. Fashion and design is one of their flagship courses now, and is one of the most competitive, actually above engineering, in terms of the grades to get in there. Absolutely. Now, we need to also realize that as parents, the thinking that we used to have about go to school so that you get employed, go to school so that you become a doctor, the storyline for our children is very different. They want to become different things, and we actually need to support them. Now, we also saw the CS upgrade quite a number of polytechnics to national polytechnics. The only challenge here is that we've not been able to expand the capacity of those polytechnics. Now, we also saw quite a bit of funds being allocated for youth development where they can go into entrepreneurship. Of course, we've had a lot of challenge with that, but it was a good start anyway. Great. I want to say that after KCSE, there are lots of opportunities, and those opportunities need to be harnessed. So we just need to support the kids' ideas, and they're actually going to be there. Thank you so much. I'd like to come to you, Irene, for the final remarks in terms of what next after KCSE for the parents.
I would say that all is not lost, that the children, you need to look at your child and sit down and discuss with them and get from them what they think they can do, because it is not you going to that university, it's them. So you need to sit down with them and understand them and know which lines to develop them, so that you work around it together, so that you're able to achieve what the young person wants to achieve. Because many times that parents have tried to push children to do things that they are not, they really don't have their heart there. And then after a period of time, you find the child comes back to you and tells you, I did this degree, but you forced me. So let me go and do something else. So the best thing is to let them be and to let them do whatever they want to do in life, and you just guide them in making their choices, and with the resources that you have and abilities, you assist them to get to the places they can get to. Absolutely. Your reactions very quickly, as someone saying this was an excellent discussion, but I'm told we've got to cross over straight to Malindi for an update on how the by-elections are going so far. But before we do that, I'd like to thank the panel that has been helping us, have this conversation this morning. Francis Wahome, thank you so much. Joy Mwangi, Asante Sana, wish you all the best in your present and future endeavors. Emidayus, Wanyama, always a pleasure to have you on set. Irene, Waithaka, we do hope your experience was worth your while. Was it? It was. Yes, thank you so much for coming by. My name is Samuel Njeroge. Samson Kitavi, take it over. Let us know what is happening in Malindi so far. So thank you so much for watching. This has been a wonderful discussion on after KCSE, what next. I can see Samson Kitavi right there, getting ready to bring us up to speed.